Thanks for calling the Beards and Sundries hotline. You've reached Anthony. Leave a message after the beep.
Hi, you podcast daddies. It's your boy, Aaron. I just wanted to call and wish y'all a happy Father's Day because, you know, you're all our podcast daddies. Hope you have a great day. Bye.
And welcome back.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
Welcome back to Season 2, Episode 25, the season finale of Beards and Sundries.
That's right. The podcast rated 5 out of 6 balls.
That's right, guys. You heard him right. It is time for the final lunch break of Season 2 here at Beards and Sundries, the shop where 3 gay men with beards do inventory on a new sundry in each episode.
My name is Jay, and if you're a conservative bigot who treats gays negatively for your own personal beliefs, you're a bad person. That's all.
That's your best intro yet.
I'm Anthony, and not gay as in yes queen, but queer as in Black Lives Matter, trans people belong everywhere, drag queens have never shot up a school, and family values is just another way to say bigoted.
Damn.
Amen.
A fucking men. Ooh, men. And I'm Joe, and yesterday marked my 3rd year in a row spinning my flag with the Tulsa Pride Color Guard in the annual Tulsa Pride Parade. And today's topic is Pride.
Gay Wrath Month.
Yay.
Be gay and do crime.
Crime.
Is sodomy still illegal? Because I do that crime.
I break that rule.
All the time.
Not just the rule. Break something. That's right, Beardos. We decided to talk about a very important month, Pride Month, and what it means to us. Now, since this is the final episode of Season 2, it's going to be a little bit more of a last day of school kind of vibe, a little bit fast and loose. We are going to talk about what we want, when we want, and we know how much y'all love our tangents anyway, so today should be a fun one. But we can't stray too far away from the formula. How about this week's voicemail?
What I want you guys to know is that he actually left that before our episode came out. So it was just ironic that he talked about us being daddies.
And all of your home maintenance and lawn mowing and tire rotating.
Daddy, 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 daddy. I've just embraced it now.
I'm glad I'm someone's daddy.
That's one of the best parts about last week's episode is just Jay realizing and just being like, fuck.
Fuck. I love putting that in the TikTok video. It's like, fuck.
And the TikTok rules that are like, frick.
Yeah, and I was like, fudge. Oh, fudge.
Only I didn't say fudge.
I said the king of all cuss words. Whatever it was. I can't remember the phrasing, but...
Babos?
Yabos? One of my friends this weekend, he just looked at me and goes, Babos? And I was like, what? What are you saying? And he's like, Babos. And then I was like, oh, you bitch. You bitch.
What? I could just see the gears turning and you just slow blinking like a cartoon character.
I was just like, Babos? What does this mean? Why does this sound familiar?
It's been one of those weeks, though, because, like, I've had a few days.
Child, it's been a weekend. This is like a weekend that's dragging into the week because we're dragging our late release date into it with us. It's been a weird weekend to be a Tulsan, that's for sure.
So, bringing up your hectic weekend, what exactly, like, all did you figure out happened at your house damage-wise?
We got super duper lucky, I think.
We got really lucky compared to the rest of the neighborhood and other people.
Considering that our gutters are not 100% and that our roof is nearing 10 years old, we really, really lucked out.
We didn't have any roof damage, which is one that I thought for sure would have happened. But I guess from the direction the winds were coming, like our neighbor's house kind of blocked it.
And then we had a tree taken out a few years back in the backyard.
Oh, thank God.
If we still had that tree, this would be a completely different conversation.
We wouldn't be here right now because we would be doing house repairs, at least roof repairs, if not straight up not being able to live in our house because a tree limb was in our living room.
There's a house on the next street over that I can see from the backyard, and there's a trampoline resting on their fence.
I was going to ask you if you saw that trampoline because I saw it earlier and I was like, what the fuck?
That's right. With the neighbor's fence down, we've been doing supervised outside doggy trips.
It's kind of funny because Finster hasn't realized that he can get out because her gate is also down.
I don't let him get over there to figure it out.
You just have to jump over and go that way. And he has not figured it out yet because he is stupid.
He's very pretty. Yes, indeed.
Well, I do know that I think I saw at one point that 350,000 in the state of Oklahoma were without power.
So we got super lucky in the sense that our power went out Saturday night around 12:45 a.m. And we were only without power that entire Sunday all the way till 8 p.m. is when our power came back on. So we didn't lose any food. We didn't have to go to any extreme measures for cooling. We got really lucky. Quite a few people have gotten their power back on by now. The city's doing a pretty good job with their response. But I just feel for those people that still don't have power.
Yeah, at some point, at the greater Tulsa area residents, it was somewhere just a little under 200,000 people were without power just here.
There was a lot of people that I knew including you guys, and then in Oklahoma City that were without power. And what's funny is I literally was sitting and I'm pretty sure I was watching Black Mirror during that storm, and it blew through.
Really?
And I'm just sitting there like, oh yeah, that's a lot of rain and there's a little bit of wind. And then all of a sudden I opened I think it was Facebook the next day that I saw one of the local weathermen post a picture of a tree falling on a car. And they said, this is a common image through all of Oklahoma City today. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
And so then I start checking it out and figuring out everyone's been fucked. And I check outside and nothing's even blown around. So I don't know how I got lucky.
Well, we're already pretty into it. Anthony, do you want to ask me what I can find in the sundries aisle?
Holy shit. We are so far off
we really went off.
We forgot about sundries. Hey, Joe, will you find
Anthony.
my sundries at the Pride Parade?
Oh, definitely. You'll find lots and lots of sundries at the Pride Parade, and I like that. But if you guys are new to our market or Pride Parade, and you're wondering just what the hell a sundry is, the term comes from an Old English word meaning odds and ends. Now, today it's used mainly in retail to group together items that don't typically have a group of their own. So, as three very proud gay men with beards, we are using the term to describe the wide range of topics that we cover.
Wow, that was the gayest intro yet.
Yay! Yeah, so if you also make it to Tulsa Pride this weekend, look for the boys with the shorty short sundries shorts, because I think we're going to show off some potential gear.
And if there's any place to debut a clothing item like that, it would be Pride.
We won't be the craziest dressed people there, for sure.
No, definitely not.
Yeah, some people will be waving God hates fags signs, and I mean embarrassing at a Pride Parade.
I mean, I don't like French cigarettes very much either, but I'm not going to make a sign about it.
God does hate smoking.
That's not what the Bible says, Jay. Read it in Marlboro Book 6.
But you know what
22.
God won't be hating is going to be us and our shorts, because we're going to be smoking hot.
And fun.
And it's going to be hot anyway, because it's supposed to be 97 degrees.
Why is it always so fucking hot during Pride?
Oh, I know. So it's actually been beautiful here, and then now suddenly it's getting hot.
Also, why did we pick June for Pride? Why couldn't we go with, I don't know, October?
Isn't Pride Month based around the Stonewall riots?
Yes,
in late
I
June?
know.
Okay,
yeah,
just checking. I couldn't remember if I remembered well.
It's interesting that you bring up June and riots, because I thought it would be smart and kind of good for us to talk about Juneteenth for a hot minute.
Yes.
Juneteenth is a very important holiday, and as of 2021, it's actually a national holiday. It's one of the actual good things that Joe Biden has done for the country. So It's actually known as Juneteenth National Independence Day, and it's a federal holiday, which is good. It commemorates the emancipation of enslaved African Americans. It combines the words June and 19th, which is the day that Mayor General Gordon Granger proclaimed freedom for enslaved people in Texas. It was June 19th, 1865, which was 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was issued. So Juneteenth is what it's officially called. And it's a really great way to celebrate history and kind of face the issues instead of sweeping them under the rug, which, if you're familiar with the Tulsa Race Massacre, because I'm not calling it the Tulsa Race Riots because it was actually a massacre, so I'm calling it the Tulsa Race Massacre. I found out about that by watching the show Watchmen, which was very frustrating to me because it's not a topic that should be swept under the rug. It should be talked about because it's very important. And if you don't learn about history, you're doomed to repeat it, especially the bad parts.
If I recall right, I heard something recently that history repeats every 80 to 90 years, which would fall in line with what Hitler did back in the 40s. And look how fascist we're getting right now. So,
I'm not going to bring down morale on the podcast by talking too much about the Tulsa Race Massacre, but in short, it was a conspiracy. It was a long chain of events over the course of 2 or 3 days that happened because an African-American department store shoeshine worker was accused of sexually assaulting a white female elevator operator. Completely unfounded, completely unproven, no evidence whatsoever. She even came out saying that he tripped and fell and grabbed her arm, which made her cry out, which then tumbled into a snowball of he said, she said, telephone, next person, becoming a wild, out of control story, which led to a horrible chain of events in the Greenwood neighborhood, considered the Black Wall Street, because it was so thriving and so important right then in Tulsa, and then it just turned into a terrible tragedy.
It's so wild to me that you can live in Oklahoma your entire life and not know about the Tulsa Race Massacre, because I didn't. Growing up, I was never taught about it. It was not a subject that we learned about in history. We even had Oklahoma history as a mandatory class, and we didn't learn about that. We learned about like the land run. We learned about Sooners. We learned about people who were setting up farmsteads. We learned about the Dust Bowl. But all of that just sort of gets omitted and set to the sidelines as if it's not part of Oklahoma's history because it doesn't paint us in a good light. And that is what we call jingoism, which is trying to make you hyper-nationalist, hyper-involved in the state so that you don't think anything bad about it, so that you have this sense of like, I'm so proud of where I'm from, instead of facing the facts and saying, yeah, we fucked this up, and we really need to re-examine what the results of this were and what the ongoing issues that we suffer based off of that are.
Mm-hmm.
We need to know what we've done in the past to prevent it from, reoccurring.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I probably didn't learn about this until maybe my mid to late 20s, and then suddenly it became known. And that was wildly sad to me that happened. But I have listened to this podcast for years, and it is called American History Tellers, and it is by Wondery. And if you go to season 33, that is the season about the Tulsa Race Massacre. There's 5 episodes. They range from 35 to 50 minutes long, and so each episode progresses in the storyline of what happens in the Tulsa Race Massacres. And I obsess over this podcast. He's talked about numerous things that I've enjoyed. He had one about the atomic era in the 1950s that I really liked. The Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire in the
I love reading about the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire.
He does a whole
OSHA is basically because of that tragedy.
Because of that. Yeah, and he does a whole history of that. There's a few of them that don't excite me. I think he had one about the very beginning of America that I'm like, I should be more interested, but I'm not. But then all of a sudden he'll have another season that I'm just addicted. So Again, it's American History Tellers from Wondery. Highly recommend them. Season 33 specifically is about the Tulsa Race Massacre.
Beardos, it's a really tough read if you read about it online. It's a very important read, though, because it's really important to educate yourself, just like Jay said, because if you don't, we're destined to go down the same path again. So I recommend reading about it. It's a tough read, like I said, but it's a very important read as well.
Educate yourselves, because if you haven't noticed, our country is trying very hard to not educate you.
We are trying very hard in this country for some reason to wipe out what has gone wrong, and it's alarming.
It's nationalism, is just pure and simple, and there's this extreme cognitive dissonance between how we view American nationalism and how we view things like North Korean nationalism or Chinese nationalism. And we look at those things and we're like, it's so evil. And we somehow just completely overlook the evils of American nationalism and the indoctrination of our children.
Yeah, the complete irony of how identical we are in different ways.
There are 4 cornerstone pillars that I associate with being an American in this country. And we'll probably dive into that at some point in season 3.
I don't know. I think I'm okay with making this whole episode about the things that we should really examine more closely in America, because while Pride is fun and all, it also was a riot. So, at the core of what we are and what we're talking about, we are looking for national change for the oppression of minorities. And that goes hand in hand with things like Juneteenth and Pride and just those types of issues that we are seeing brought up at the forefront of these political agendas.
But do you know what's wild to me is now there is a straight pride symbol.
Ew.
And it is just a black and white striped flag with the male and female symbol on it.
There are bisexual people that are male and female relationships.
Yeah.
So that doesn't make sense.
It's just what it is it's literally a bunch of nationalists that are mad because they're being told that they have to accept something, when really I'm like, you don't have to fucking accept me. You don't have to like me. I don't give a shit. But you have to stop pushing back things that you're afraid of, because you're probably you're so afraid of what you don't understand. And that is the biggest problem, is you get mad because you're afraid.
They view this as like, oh, well, we don't have a straight pride parade. And just, you guys, every other fucking
because you don't
parade,
need one.
You don't need it. It's yours. You have always been at the forefront of what this nation is and is represented by.
Yeah. Straight Pride Month is every other month but June.
I literally had someone joke with me the other day that she said, I'm getting annoyed with everyone having their own Pride months. I just wish we could get maybe a straight Pride month or something. And I looked at her and I said, I need you to understand, the reason these things happen is specifically because people like you have oppressed everyone that's not like you. And so what they're trying to do is show you that we're here, we exist, and you cannot oppress us anymore. And I said, that's what these pride parades are. And I said, in the moment you come out and you're like, well, I want this, it means that you still haven't gotten enough to feel superior over everyone else. So now you want to find something else to rub in everyone else's face, when you could just shut the fuck up and sit down, just go away. Just live your life like normal and let everyone else live normal.
Also, for anyone who says there's no straight pride out there, watch a Hallmark Christmas movie. That's one of the most straight things I've ever seen.
It's just uncanny to me how we get so wrapped up into these little boxes that we've put everybody in this country, and we act like it's the land of the free and the home of the brave, when really,
with the biggest asterisk in the world attached to
bullshit. Yes, exactly.
Well,
it's the land of the free and home of the brave if
terms and conditions apply.
Yeah, if you don't make me uncomfortable, or if you behave like I prefer you behave, or if you think like I prefer you think, or if you fit in the category of male and female, because I cannot fathom the idea of being like, I don't care what sex you are. That's impossible in their world.
Yeah, and they completely forget that, like, even gender itself, outside of the social construct of gender, which is Sociology 101, you pieces of shit. But outside of the social construct of gender, even sex is determined in such a way that it still exists on a spectrum. Like, you may end up with a penis, you may end up with a vagina, but at some point in the womb, you start out a girl. Like, you're just a girl to start. That's it. So technically every man is trans. Thank you. Welcome to my TED Talk.
Interesting.
This whole episode's turning into a TED Talk, and I'm here for it because I don't know why I'm so bitchy today. But
it may feel like it's the last day of school, but we're doing some educating today.
Yeah, I'm tired today. I've been busy, and I'm a little bit fed up.
I've had it. To quote one of my favorite current podcasts, I fucking had it.
I fucking had it.
Maybe we can convince them to let us be on their show, because we've all had it.
Jennifer Welch and Angie Pumps Sullivan, if you're listening, I love you. I want to be on your show. Tell Kylie and Richard to book me. I fucking love you guys. And I'll learn how to play pickleball just for you, Jennifer.
I actually hope that you don't do that, because I don't want pickleball to become your entire personality.
Don't worry. It's too physical.
But anyways, moving back on to subject. Wait, actually, I do have something else you should check out. So going back in the vein of how we mentioned the country moving towards more fascism, and especially like right-wing fascism, you guys should check out a podcast called It Could Happen Here.
I don't know if I want to, is the problem.
It is a very stressful podcast to listen to. I've actually asked Joe to turn it off a couple of times because I get so stressed by it. But it is a very deep examination of where our country is at and the sort of precipice we sit on as compared to other countries that have experienced civil wars.
And that's such a problem, because I very much like to expose myself to difficult topics like that so I can, culture myself and educate myself and make decisions and change how I handle things to better the future in whatever way I can. But lately, I've been so fucking busy that whenever I get the opportunity to listen to something like that, my brain's like, I don't think I can afford to wear myself down anymore with this depressing topic, because I'm running myself ragged just in life in general. And then when I add that to it, I'm just like, it's like the trigger into depression, because you're just surrounded with so much hate all the time in just the news, on top of work and busy schedules and life. It's exhausting.
It's the new trend called doom scrolling. You just can't look away.
I want to know what a less hectic life is like. I want to understand.
I often wonder, it must be so wonderful to be so blissfully unaware and just bumble through life, just not knowing what's going on around you. It's got to be so cathartic.
My parents, for example, live in the country, and they're always just like, if people would stop crowding in cities, we would have less problems. And I'm like, so what you're saying is, if everyone lives like you and turns a cold shoulder and hides themselves from standard society and where the majority of public is, then everything would be fine. If we distance ourselves from people that don't look and act like us, then everything's fine.
Oh, that is so dangerous to think like that.
And I'm just like, how? Like, the more I've traveled, even just on cruises, I've exposed myself to so much that I've realized how my life is so... I'm spoiled.
Yeah. I mean, my world really opened up when I encountered the Tan Man, that's for sure.
I'm really glad that I didn't get to see you open up for the Tan Man.
Oh my gosh.
He's not a white
Joe,
supremacist. He's a tan supremacist, probably.
He's a leather supremacist. But when we go on our next cruise, I need you to pack 25 blazers like he had. And you just walk around with only a blazer on. No shirt, just blazers, sunglasses, your hat, and a big Cuban cigar. And you walk around acting like a big shot.
I'm not even sure that was an actual man. He might have just been a beef jerky in disguise.
I mean, that's true.
We like to joke about how much Jay likes to pack for a cruise. I can't even fathom how many garment bags, roll-ons, just... It had to be bonkers and batshit crazy how much luggage he brought on board.
Gosh, that's probably all it was just a bunch of hangers and bags of jackets, and he just didn't even pack underwear or anything. And I can't get over how many boomer women were obsessed with him, and how on the Facebook page for that specific cruise, just watching everyone be like, I found the tan man, and they're all getting their like little pictures with him, and I'm like,
that was one of the wildest weeks on Facebook I've ever had. It was so worth buying the internet package just for it.
I don't think I've ever watched Facebook that hard in my entire life.
Like, we got on the cruise to detach ourselves. Yeah, but we were all just like...
Yeah.
Do you remember that lady who for the first maybe 2 or 3 days, just every post was bitching about
she complained about everything.
And then someone called her out.
Someone said that you need to stop being such a negative bitch and be happy. And then every post after that was how great every experience was. And at the end of the cruise, and then she also did a selfie, and every selfie was just her staring blankly at the camera. There was no expression. And so she'd be like, I went to the Italian restaurant today, but her picture would be like,
That's one of my favorite boomer trends, is that they have no idea how to take a selfie the right way.
Oh my fucking God. I loved that. So her and the tan man are my favorite memories from that cruise. And then also kind of reading about that guy that got shut in his room and security stood outside of it.
Wasn't it because he was having
beat his wife at the bar?
Yeah. So he had like a domestic violence complaint against him from other people, and they were like, you got to get in your room. And then he made all these complaints from the Wi-Fi in his room about being locked in his room. And like, do you want to know why there's no straight pride? Because this is what it would be about.
Straight pride is a Carnival cruise ship.
I meant to tell you that a lot of times if you get shut in your room and security standing outside of it, it means that they've discovered you have a felony on shore somewhere.
What? Holy shit. So not only...
Hey, real quick, raise your hand if you're gay and haven't committed a felony.
Yay! I'll do
raising our hands. I'm raising all my hands. No felonies, thank you.
No felonies for us, even though we say to be gay and do crimes, we don't actually do it. Aside from, like, I don't know, speeding on the interstate.
Sodomy.
The police keep looking in my master bedroom window, and they're like, we're gonna get him one day.
They're looking in your back door, too.
I do face that window. No, I'm kidding.
Ass to mouth? Nah, ass to back window.
I'm just somehow now imagining you like having sex like propped up against that window, and them just out there like hands on their hips looking at you like, no, and you're like totally fully having sex, but you're like, you can't prove that it's in there.
Yeah, you can't see this because it's my back against the window.
And they're like, he's got a 3-year-old SUV because he's a daddy.
He could be screaming because I'm tickling him. Tickle, tickle. Ah!
That is one of my like... That is one of my favorite stupid trends about like gay porno websites where they have like the banner ads up on top, and it's like these scenarios where it's like they're putting ketchup on like a penis in a hot dog bun, and they're like, oh. Or like the mom walks in and there's like the dick in the popcorn box, and she's like, oh, and they're like, whoa. Or and then it cuts to them just going at it like crazy in the kitchen.
I fully saw this like amateur porn once, and I'm pretty sure it was real, where this guy is straight up like like a frat pledge, but the only reason I thought it was real is because it's like lined up in all of those little tents at like a tailgate party, and you just know it's like sororities and fraternities, and he's straight up like actually has the dick on the bun, and then there's like mustard on the dick, and at some point somebody's like, whoa, where'd the bun go? And I'm like, what the fuck?
He's like, I'll be the bun. And then it cuts to them just railing him against the like balcony of the Chi Omega house.
None of that ever happens. He like comes on the guy's face who's been sucking his dick, and the guy's starting to act like, oh no, don't come on me, I'm straight. And I'm like, if this is real, you're the least straight frat brother out there. But if this is not real, this is done really well.
Which, side note, hazing, awful, terrible, shouldn't happen.
But in porn,
it's fun to pretend because it's make-believe.
yes,
Okay?
because it's a stage scene. Which, speaking of porn, the other day I was scrolling through, and I hate to admit it, but I landed on this video that said...
Raspberry.
Yes, it said quadruple penetration, and I was like, "What the fuck?" I just want to know the logistics. So,
How fast did you click on that shit?
Did you click it?
so I did. I watched it, and it's so sad that I'm like watching.
Did they, like,
porn for logistics? And let me tell you,
Lay
It
down
was-
like in a star pattern? How did they
It
get all
was-
4 dicks in the right place?
so it was 3 in one end and 1 in the other, and
But
I'm
how
gonna
did they
tell you
get
that the
3
one was
in
in the
one
mouth.
end?
Okay, so it was quite the journey.
Please paint me a picture.
I'm trying to figure out.
It was quite
like,
the journey.
you'd have to like really you'd have to be flexible and like push their dicks like together.
So basically, 2 were laying down, basically scissoring, and then the third kind of like wedged his way in, and it was more like the tip. But
Oh, what an amateur.
the guy,
me watching the Olympics. Fucking losers. As I'm sitting there like eating a stick of butter and just wow. What an idiot.
but I'm like watching this, and I'm like cringing because I'm like, that guy, like, he's not making noises like he's enjoying this.
What? No way.
It makes me think of the TSA episode of South Park where the guy's like sitting there, like slowly stroking his dick under the table and just like stops and clicks to a new screen. And that's what watching porn out of interest is.
Yeah. It drives me nuts when I'm like, this is going to be a great time. And then I catch myself 30 minutes later and I'm just like,
There's desperation. The definition of desperation is when you're on page 12 of Pornhub search results.
you fast forward and I'm literally nude, but I have a calculator and a notepad and I'm like going through, I'm like, what angle would you have to go in to get this to work? And then I'm like, y = mx plus b. And I'm like,
Oh yeah, when they have like stuff written on the chalkboard and it just is just bonkers.
Do you guys ever commit the sin of going to Pornhub.com, but not Pornhub.com/gay?
oh God, if you don't Google it with
Oh, yeah.
gay.
And then the pop-up comes up and it's like, you might be on the straight side. And I'm like, ah!
Ah, tits! Oh my God, Bobos!
Yeah. Those aren't male bobos.
Oh.
But sometimes I'm like, oh, he's straight and hot, but it's a solo scene, so I can work with this. Let's go. Come on.
Yeah, that feels like one of those. What the fuck is that live streaming platform where you can go and like click on people who are
Chatterbait?
live streaming? Is it
Oh,
not
no.
Chatterbait?
That is,
What is it called?
what
Cam
was
4?
that? I used to watch that all
Yeah.
the time. Oh
Me
my
too.
God, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it was great.
I've never heard of it.
Oh yeah, it's just you can literally go through and watch like live webcams of people and click
Yeah.
and watch them.
You can put,
And then
like,
They do
blow
like
tip them,
real-time
stuff like that.
donation. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
accountants.
Oh, they're working
okay,
for
got
money.
it.
Good for them. Yeah,
Yeah, hell yeah.
and good on
might
If you
them.
have
got
to
it, flaunt it.
I might have to
Yeah,
go
you
pull
should
out
get
my
paid
old
for your
PC that I'm not afraid to ruin and log into that site just to see what it's like.
I
Mayor-
can tell you it's still there, and you don't need to worry too much about malware.
Really?
There
Yeah.
may or may not be a content creator that I follow on OnlyFans, and he's a very beautiful man, and it'll show the amount of tips that people get on certain posts.
Tips.
I've scrolled past a couple of like his posts and photos where he's made thousands of dollars on a singular post from tips.
Yep. And you got to
I was like, holy shit.
Lots of work to make that much money in porn. It's not as easy as just showing people your dick.
You know, what would be easier than what we've talked about for trying to make this podcast profitable is we could just make the Beards and Sundries Twitter page.
Well, yeah, because we'd have like 30 followers on there, so...
And we'd wear our Beards and Sundries shorts and ask for tips.
No, they don't want us to wear the shorts, Jay. That's the whole point.
That's the whole thing. That's why they're giving us money.
They want to see our actual sundries?
Yeah, that's why people give you money.
Think it'll be the niche market for just one testicle.
How
many tips do I get? Oh, half.
And now, for a word from our sponsor, the Beards and Sundries OnlyFans page.
Oh, no.
Oh, me so horny. Me so horny.
We'd have more success on Only Enemies. They'd be like, boo, we hate your hole. Here's $15 to put your hole away. All right, raking it in.
Here's $15 to get a testicular implant. I'd be like, oh, but they're so expensive.
There's like, it's like when fundraisers have that thermometer drawing, but it's a penis with two balls instead. And they slowly color it in as we get more donations.
It's reversed, and then like one ball is a little bit like lower than the other. So like when you finish it, you finally got the second ball.
Every time we fill a bingo card space, Jay gets a testicular implant.
Ooh, in season 3, we'll have to talk about that because I looked at the bingo card the other day and we have a couple squares, but no, I haven't shit my pants. So
we do?
We do
have
because
squares?
Ron DeSantis announced running for president.
Woo! Pretty sure that was mine.
Yay, but also...
Oh. Yeah, I got a little too excited about that.
It's like a really harsh double-edged sword.
My family and I have a group chat where we call him DeSatan, and it warms my whole dead heart every time I get to type DeSatan, and my phone has stopped autocorrecting it.
I'm just ready for them to stop autocorrecting duck.
You didn't see that article?
I did see that article, but I'm just ready for it to appear. Wow, we got really off topic from Pride.
Yeah, we really did. But this is our podcast. We're gay people. Happy Pride.
Should we go to commercial before we come back?
And now, for a word from our sponsor, Straight Pride. I'm a straight white man, and I'm tired of all this so-called pride that the queer homosexuals celebrate every year.
We're here, we're queer.
Ew, you're straight.
Yuck.
We hate.
So this year, in Branson, Missouri, the city voted the straightest in the U.S. We're hosting Straight Pride the whole month of July.
Gross.
No.
Don't mind them protesters back there. They're just mad because they're gay.
No way.
Go away.
That's right, come on out and let your straight colors fly by wearing the traditional black and white.
Go away.
Don't expect any drag queens here. We personally inspect all genitals at the gate.
Yeah, you could do that.
yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah.
Afraid that a man is going to use the women's restroom? Well, don't fret, partner. We'll check your genitals each time you pee and twice when you poop.
Wait, only twice when I poop?
I have to poop twice now.
And if you get hungry, we'll have hours-old Chick-fil-A in lukewarm trays heated only by the hot Missouri sun.
Lukewarm? I like Luke Bryan.
Afraid a man dressed as a woman is gonna eat your mediocre chicken sandwich? Well, don't worry, buddy. We're gonna give your Johnson a good rub down before you eat, too. Touch it right there.
Yeah.
So come on out to Straight Pride, where we make extra sure that men have penises by using our hands.
Yeah, touch me.
Straight Pride, sponsored by Brett Kavanaugh.
Hey guys, make sure you follow and subscribe to our podcast so you can receive a notification every Sunday when a new episode drops.
Straight Pride is spending $100 on Blue Moons at Buffalo Wild Wings.
That's... Fuck. That's like the closest I'll get to Straight Pride because I like the Blue Moon at Buffalo Wild Wings.
So I like Blue Moon on draft.
We're offenders.
I do too.
I like Blue Moon on draft. It's so good.
But if you give it to me in bottle, I fucking hate it. But if it's draft, I'm like, this is so good.
That's the one beer that I always think, like, if I had a kegerator of Blue Moon at home,
I would have it.
Ooh, hell yeah.
all the time.
Speaking of that, Jay, there is a beer line called Leinenkugels, and they have a beer called Summer Shandy. If you find a place that has it on tap, oh my god, it tastes like Blue Moon with the added citrus. On tap, it is so good. You can drink it without an added garnish or wedge on it. It's perfect by itself on tap.
Yeah, I've only had that in canned, and I thought that was good, which I'm not really a bottled or canned beer person anymore. I'm kind of just a draft.
I love a draft. Yeah.
I like a draft too.
know. We have these bottles of Yingling that we bought, and we've just been like slowly. I'll drink like one on a Saturday whenever friends come over and play Magic.
Now, I will say Modelo, I think, has these flavored beers that are like citrus and something, and those, fine. I'll drink those.
I do like a bottle of Modelo. I'll drink that in a bottle for sure.
But I'm very much mostly just draft beer person. If I'm doing canned, I'm going to switch to seltzers.
Oh, so currently it's 9:17 on a Tuesday, and the 21st and Mingo area of Tulsa just got power back.
Hey!
That's about 2 miles from us.
Anyway, enough about straight pride and submarines. Let's talk a little bit more about gay pride. Actually, do you have any user content, Jay?
Oh my gosh, I do. Hold on.
Oh, yay! Give me some good user content for the season finale.
Yeah. Let me hear from the gays. Happy Pride Month.
I'm going to start off with a voicemail we got, but I want to preface this voicemail with person did not know the details of what slowed down the podcast coming out this week. And so
I want to hear it.
I want to hear it
after
too.
After he saw our posts, he's like, I don't know if I want you to open the show with that. And I said, I'll use it as user content.
Let's hear it.
I want to hear it.
And
hi guys, this is John from HR calling to remind you
very
once
fitting.
again that harassing your quote unquote listeners to leave a voicemail is not right. Harassment, bad. I thought the trainings helped. Anyway, I'm also calling you on Sunday, June 18th, where there is no episode that came out, and I'd like you to help me understand what happened, that you weren't able to deliver on your outcomes that were clearly defined in your contract with doing this little skit-scat, dog and pony.
Little?
Because according to Article 3, Paragraph 7, subsection D, as in D's nuts, it states clearly that any, sorry, I need my glasses. It states clearly that any delays in releasing of episodes would cost you guys $5,000 per day. So
that we're paying ourselves.
I'm gonna let this one slide, but the next one we're gonna need you to talk about your penalties. Anyway, thank you for not following the rules. This will have to be a separate conversation. We'll have to set up a Zoom and everything to, I guess, go over DEI and anti-harassment, all harassment trainings with you guys. But yeah, so.
Oh my God, is he still talking?
I don't even listen to HR at my real job, so I was just on my phone that time during. So.
You know, John, yes, there was no episode on Sunday. You know what there also wasn't any of on Sunday? Electricity at our house.
Dignity in my brain.
Internet in my phone.
Those of you who are dedicated listeners know that Anthony and myself prefer our climates heavily controlled, and it was really hot inside our house on Sunday, so there was also no AC either. So I'm sorry that our little dog and pony show didn't upload on time for you
we were sitting in the house on Sunday after Joe got off work, and we were bored out of our fucking minds because I like to read, but I don't like being forced to read. So
Yeah.
we were just sitting there on the couch, and at some point I was just like, do you want to go have sex? And he was like, it's hot. And I was like, yeah, you're right.
I was like, it's so hot that's not hot.
I mean, I guess I'm bored, and we could do it right now.
If only I were a sniffer, I would have been in heaven. But unfortunately, that's not the case, Beardos.
So, John with HR, sorry we had severe weather. We'll do better next time.
Don't say sorry.
No, this is perfect corporate America, because this is the exact conversation you'd have to have after having to like make it into work late because severe weather knocked out power and like you couldn't get through intersections and there's debris in the road, and you get in and your boss is like, well, I think you should have just planned more appropriately.
Here we go. Here's my apology. Hey, John from HR. This is a special bonus if you're watching the YouTube video also. Hey, John from HR. I'm sorry that I spent Sunday morning assessing damage to my property and helping my neighbor clear a tree out of the yard and street in front of our house instead of making sure that you got your content. Love ya.
Hey, John, I'm sorry that I'm not in charge of editing. And so on Sunday, I just kind of laid around the house and did laundry and meal prepped a really easy lunch for the week. And I really didn't do anything while they were really struggling because I didn't have any problems. And I'm sorry.
Now say Happy Pride.
Happy Pride!
Hey, John from HR. All joking aside, we love you. Thank you for sticking with us since the beginning.
We'll let you come on for the season 3 premiere, perhaps, and get your side of the story.
Maybe not the premiere. We'll give you something else, though.
Yeah. The premiere's for our time to shine.
Maybe we'll have HR come and share their thoughts during season 3 at some point. Use that. Use take 2.
Anyways, off of that, is there any other Beardo submitted content?
Oh, actually, Joe, I did get I had a short Facebook or Instagram chat, and it's from Catherine. She said her first car was a 1995 Jeep Grand Cherokee. While listening to your podcast, I remember that I think Joe was actually the one that named
Chief.
One to name it, dubbing it Chief. Here it
That's
is
right.
after a mudding adventure. So she sent a picture of it full of mud, and of course with your West Virginia tag on it.
Yep. We went to Sonic in that Jeep one time in college, and that's where I remember solidifying our argument from a few episodes ago where Sonic is trash everywhere else except for Oklahoma, because it's not great in West Virginia, I can tell you that.
She said, the mudding adventure cost me a tire, and then when I got home, there was so much sand under the hood of my car that I had to lie to my parents and tell them I got stuck behind a truck full of sand on my way home. She said we used to see how many flags and people we could fit in the car. And my favorite part is, love the podcast. You guys are the best. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you.
And then
Love
lastly,
Catherine.
because we decided to go off on a different schedule this week, I decided to take an article and read to you so we could play off of topics with it that my friend Jody sent me. And it's titled, Tennessee Pastor Stole Over $250,000 from Charity He Founded to Pay for Hookers.
This is like one of those movie trailers that shows you the entire movie in the trailer, so you don't have to watch the movie. Like, the headline just told me everything I need to know.
Yeah, so basically it's a Tennessee pastor charged with stealing money from the food bank he founded, using it to pay for sexual favors.
What?
He was 81. Mr. James Gill was indicted on one count of theft of property over $250,000, one count of money laundering, and one count of patronizing prostitution. He handed over his food bank operations to the First Baptist Oops, wow, sorry, my page just messed up. His food operations to First Baptist Hendersonville in March 2022 due to what he said was his failing health. The operation fed up to 1,000 families a week, but months later, they launched an investigation because of allegations of involving theft. It just keeps on going, basically just saying that they discovered that he was writing checks to himself and others in the food bank's account and transferring the money to other accounts under different nonprofit names. And then he was buying hookers. He served at the Baptist Church for 11 years and more than 40 years of ministry experience.
Christianity is a farce. Yeah.
It's so funny how so many crazy conservatives keep screaming about grooming. And I'm like, but it's your people that keep
Yes.
grooming. It's really weird to me. It's like we have to distract the public from the problem, but you are the problem.
Yes.
It's the same cognitive dissonance that goes into things like my child can't know if they're gay or trans at the age of 9 or 10 or 11 or 12 or whatever, not till they're 18, because at 18 you get magical wisdom. But if you want to give your little soul to Jesus Christ at the ripe age of 7, it's so incredible how smart you are and how much you love Jesus. And that's just you're just the best thing in the world. And they'll totally let you do that. Can you imagine?
I think
you can't be gay or trans, but if you want to give your soul away, go for it.
I think what gets me is when people are like, yeah, but what do I tell my kids about that? You know, that gay couple or something. And I'm like, well,
let them form their own opinions.
Is this a real question or is this a rhetorical question? Because you want me to be like, oh, I'm sorry, your child. When really all you have to do is say something like, hey, honey, everyone lives differently and everyone has a different life than we do. And we should all respect everyone's lives and how they live. It's not that hard.
They're afraid of it, so they're afraid that their kids are going to get corrupted by it, but they don't understand how.
And that harkens to this whole idea of them being oppressed because they have to see us existing in public, because we have rights and can, in fact, exist legally outside of our homes. Fuck you.
How are you oppressed? I'm not telling you that you can't live your life. I'm not telling you that you can't get married. I'm not telling you anything. You're not oppressed at all.
Hey guys, I've received at least 5 different religious flyers for churches, Christian churches in our area this year alone. How many gay flyers have you received?
I have shut my door on more religious people than I ever have anybody coming to tell me to be gay.
Yeah. Fuck off.
I once had a religious person tell me that I'm going to hell, and I said, I'd rather be in hell than here.
I told someone once that we're going to be spending a lot of time together because their bigotry and judgment will send them there with me. So I said, that's unfortunate, and then I left.
I used to joke with my gay friends and say, you want to share a cubicle in our corner office in hell? At least we can have fun.
That's just, it's straight up American evangelicalism. It goes
Yeah.
all the way back to the turn of the century in the 1900s, where Christianity did not match with American masculinity, and so they had to change it to match what Americans considered masculine, so that Christianity
need to make it mask for mask,
feminine.
I also need to figure out. I need Christians to understand that they used to be the radical belief, because they used to be that religion that appeared because people did not like Judaism or Catholic. I can't say the word, but yes, thank you. I've had enough wine and I'm tired. But I'm like, you used to be the radical party back in the day.
I'm gay and tired. Happy Pride.
I'm gay, I'm tired, and I can't say religious words.
Daddy's got it.
Daddy's got it.
Also, how many children have been sexually abused by drag queens reading books at libraries? I feel like it's way less than children that are going to church where their pastors are.
I think that number is, in fact, actually factually, of documented cases, I'd be willing to wager a guess 0.
And statistically, I mean, because I did study how to measure statistics, statistically, the straight religious people are losing compared to how many gay people are sexualizing children over straight people in church.
It's such a deflection because it makes you worry about things that never happen or happen so rarely that they are not real issues, compared to the real actual issues of sexual molestation, of children in our country, mostly teenage girls. And there is a 39% chance that that molestation will come from a family member.
Isn't it somewhere like 85% of sexual assaults comes from someone you are close with or something like that?
It is actually, I think it is closer to the 90%. So it is either someone in your family or a family acquaintance.
Yeah,
someone that child
closer
knows.
Family acquaintance. Someone that somebody trusts.
Yep. And again, I could take the time to look it up, but we're already so deep into this. But like,
and they tell you all the time that, you know, church is so safe and that's the place to go. And that's exactly how everyone's victimized, because you're supposed to trust it. Why? Why am I supposed to trust it? Statistically, it's kind of one of the least places I can trust.
It is the worst place to go. I would never trust a church with my well-being. Good God.
I would never. No, especially ours.
Especially my well-being.
Not even talking about physically, mentally? Nah.
Also,
no thanks.
Let's talk about that for a moment. I mean, where on earth in the Bible does it tell you that you have to, push everyone? What is it? It's like GOP Jesus. Sorry, my mind went a different direction. But GOP Jesus is this video that's hilarious. And it's a guy walking around as Jesus. And he's like holding a child. And he's like, I want you to love everyone unless they cross the border and could, you know, bring drugs or something like that. So, and then he hands off the baby. And he's like, go check her out or something like that. and like, it's funny because it's like literally taking the GOP belief of like,
they pick and choose like crazy.
And then they really like nitpick about where they want to follow Jesus.
So I've been listening to this book called Jesus and John Wayne, which if you want to get some real insight into this like American version of Christianity.
God, this makes so much sense already. And I don't even know what you're talking about.
You should totally listen to it or read it. I've been listening to it since I get some free time at work to like just listen. And holy shit. I knew John Wayne was a crappy person, but he's a huge piece of shit. Yeah. Absolutely the worst version of, he converted to Christianity, but he did it in such a way that like he modeled Christianity around himself. And then he tried to emasculate people for not signing up for the war effort while simultaneously actively trying not to be recruited and skipping the draft because he was afraid to hurt his burgeoning acting career.
It's gotta be just insane to live like that.
Yep. He wanted everyone else to go into the draft, but he didn't want to do it himself. And people look up to this man as sort of pinnacle of manliness in Christianity. And I'm just like, he's a huge piece of shit.
It's
like,
crazy pants.
Yeah, but back then you just didn't have the publicity towards stuff like that. You could hide things so much easier.
Oh yeah, there was such a bigger curtain back then because we didn't have these telling us what supposedly might have been right or wrong.
Even during those times, religious leaders would continually come to light as these basically like religious profiteering rings, and they'd come to light as, you know, of course, molestation, or they'd come to light as molesters, or they'd come to light as just straight up being racist, which was more common back then because racism was...
You can get away with it more often, too.
I mean, it's still shitty now, and let's be fucking clear, racism is still alive and well in the USA.
Very, very thick.
And not just in small little sects. Like, it exists in the overarching way we treat minorities.
Yeah, it's not like a small community of people are still just loud. It is embedded in the things we do.
Racism is not just the KKK. It's not these small groups of people going out and actively saying they hate black people. It's the person on the sidewalk who actively is not doing anything to intervene with someone who's yelling racist remarks at someone. It's the people who are actively trying not to change systems that are in place that inherently do not benefit African Americans in our country.
It's the woman who walks down the street and holds her purse tighter when she walks by a group of black people. It is the people who say that anytime a black person moves into their neighborhood that the property value could lower. It is things like that's shit that I remember seeing and saying growing up because it's how I was taught. And I didn't even realize it. I just was like, but it makes sense.
It's realizing that whenever it's someone saying, were they black, when someone mentions a crime being committed.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So I've said it before on this podcast, and I'll say it again. It's not enough to not be racist. You have to be anti-racist.
You have to be anti-fascist, too.
I know that we're 3 white men, and we can never understand the experience. So,
but we can do as much as we can to fight it.
Exactly. From what we can do from our perspectives and from our positions in life, anti-racism. Actively fighting it, actively working out against it, because there is nothing else you can do.
I will never forget during 2020, during the BLM movements that were really big at the time, and they were having a lot of protests and all. I will never forget when I kind of had this moment of recognition of how much it had been embedded in me, not because people are like, you have to treat them bad. It's based off of societal standards that were just raised and how I didn't even realize what it was. And I remember being on the couch and I kind of started crying because I'm like, I'm a shitty person and I didn't even know it. And so from that point, I was like, you have to make active decisions to be aware of what you're doing and change.
It comes back to being blissfully unaware.
It's because you had a modicum of self-examination. You took a second to look at your thoughts and feelings and actions. And most people are unwilling to do that in this country because it's like admitting failure.
Well, and it's scary. It's scary to self-evaluate. It's scary to look at yourself and tell yourself that you've done something wrong or that you've done something bad. And people are so afraid of that.
But it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to find out you've been doing something wrong. Because once you do, you can fix it.
Because we're always learning. And if you learn that something you do is not good, you can fix it. You can learn to be a better person and continue your entire life. Just because you've thought of something your whole life does not mean that you're always right.
And taking a moment to look at your unconscious biases doesn't make you a bad person. If you find out you've had this unconscious bias against people that is not, that is something you could consider straight up racist, you can fix it. You can change it. That's what you can do, is be better.
And I'm not going to tell you that it's not hard. It's hard. It is hard to be a better person when you've gone so many years as doing one thing. But if you want to be a good person, you can actually do it. You just have to put the effort forward.
And don't let
resources are out there for you.
Never let anybody make an excuse for someone that that's just the way they grew up or that's just their time frame they grew up. That's a load of bullshit.
It's time for them to keep growing up.
Exactly. If my 80-something-year-old grandmother can learn to not only accept but embrace trans people whenever that was not part of her life growing up, anyone can do it. If my 90-something-year-old grandfather on the other side of my family can learn to embrace the black community in a way that he never did before in his life, anyone can do it.
Yeah.
Don't let people tell you that they're too old or that it's just part of their generation or it's how they grew up. That's a load of fucking bullshit.
Help them become the better part of their generation and not just the worst stereotypical part of it.
And if you're afraid of the confrontation, don't. Because you can't fix problems without creating problems.
You won't cook the macaroni unless you stir the pot.
You won't change the oil unless you pull the plug.
You won't have one testicle unless you go through surgery and remove the other one.
Is Is that the episode title? No, God, please. Whacking balls with Gomez Adams. I don't think we could ever top that.
Oh my God! When that popped on my email, I just rolled. I was like, "Where did that even come from?" And then listening to the episode, I'm like, "Oh my God! I fucking said it."
You were like Peter Griffin, like, "Oh, that's why they call it that."
Yes. I literally said the line, and then I said, "That's our episode title."
You guys, we've been at this for a hot minute, and this has been a very unbeards and sundries-esque episode. We normally do very light things. We normally try to be a bright point in your week. But I think this week and during Pride Month and after Juneteenth and thinking about the state of affairs in our nation, let's get a little mad.
I think we're mad.
Let's get a little
Let's
mad.
get mad.
It's okay. It's okay to be mad.
What's that quote about women? It's like, women who minded their own business never achieved anything. What's that quote? I'm circling around it, I think. Women who followed the rules never accomplish anything. Something like leave that out. I don't know. I just like AOC a lot. Sorry. And I'm mad.
Right.
I don't know what happened today, but like something snapped in me and I was in a bad mood. And I was bitching in text message, which you guys were privy to. And so I think I've just been in that
Girl,
mood
when I
all
went
day.
on break, I was like, holy shit.
So episode 1 of season 3 should be fun because we'll probably continue this into
We'll probably address
topic.
what we were talking about in those text message threads because
We get a short break and
yeah.
Yeah,
But I
we should
promise-
talk about that really quick.
Oh yeah. So this is the season finale of this season of Beards and Sundries. So next week we will be on hiatus.
Also, to let you guys know, as you're listening, if you're listening on release day, Jay and his boyfriend are currently in Tulsa hanging out with us. So we
That's right.
have spent the last day and a half bitching, drinking, celebrating Pride in person. So we have plenty of material that we've probably built up by now for season 3's intro, which will come not next Sunday, but the Sunday following because we're taking a week off.
Not the 2nd, but the 9th.
In advance, enjoy your 4th of July. Enjoy your time off. Enjoy your time with family, friends, whatever. We're going to enjoy it too. We're going to take the time off and just relax. So yeah, we'll see you week after next.
But does that mean the music's coming back on?
Oh, the
Oh,
music
shit.
is coming
There
back
it is.
on.
Oh, it's so much angrier than usual. Nah, it's the same music. I don't know.
Imagine like the same theme, but like heavy metal guitars.
Unfortunately, we don't know the artist who actually made our music personally, so we can't go request a custom version of it. So,
Oh my God, we'd probably have to pay him $6.99. Literally, $6.99.
but so yeah, the music's back on. Please go call our hotline. The number is 405-999-2242. Leave us your comments, notes, suggestions, anything that you have for us. If this episode made you angry, call and leave an angry remark, either at us or in unison with us. Whatever, we don't care. Call, leave the message. Also, if you're angry and you enjoyed this episode, let your friends know to listen to this episode too, so they can be angry as well, and we can all be angry together. We'd really appreciate it.
And Beardos, even though season 2 has sadly come to an end, there's much more to come. If you want to help us out, go and subscribe to our podcast so you can get reminders every Sunday, except for next Sunday, when we release a new episode. We also post frequent updates on our social medias for any additional sundries that we add to the market.
And don't forget to rate us 5 stars and leave a review on whatever platform you are listening to us on. Those reviews help us get us found by more listeners like you, and we just appreciate them, and we will read them out loud on the podcast.
Yup.
Please make sure you're following us on our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, and our TikTok. Make your comments, make suggestions. We love hearing from you, and we will always respond. You can also email us at beardsandsundries@gmail.com.
So, from 3 very angry but very proud gays here at the Beards and Sundries Market, make sure to
fucking love yourself.
Because we love you and are proud of you already.
Be proud and see you next season.
Bye, Beardo!
Bye.
bye.